We're 3,200 hectares and mixed farming with merinos, so we're about 14,000 merino sheep at the moment.
So it's ewes or
14,000 total, and about 5,000 breeding ewes.
And yours just straight merinos? No,
Yeah,
crossies
we're doing our last drop of crossies this year, so all the rams are merino for next year.
Oh, you're getting out of crossies?
Yeah.
Okay. How come? Why is that?
Just transitioning into Anderson rams instead of British breed, which have got that carcass trait for a merino sheep anyway. So
again, the multi-purpose merino.
Yeah. So we run a wool line and a meat line.
Okay.
But all merino now, so we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
Might be a bad decision, might be a good decision. Who knows?
No.
Yeah.
And then, so do you sell ewe hoggets into the as breeders?
Keep pretty much all of our ewe hoggets, and anything that doesn't go into the wool line gets the meat line instead. Cropping, we are anywhere between 1,200 hectares and 1,800 hectares, depending on the number of sheep, or vice versa.
So, yep. Which is so canola,
wheat, oats, barley, and we've done away with lupins again. We did it for a few years and then went, no.
Yeah, okay.
A bit of hay here and there, but that's depending on what the season's doing and whether we need the feed for the sheep or what have you.
Yep, and canola's GM, TT, hybrid?
Mix of both.
Yep.
Yeah. We've been GM for quite a long time, but having to go back to the hybrids to combat the ryegrass resistance.
in Roundup?
Yeah.
Roundup?
Yeah.
Do you?
Absolutely.
God, I'm amazed by that.
Yes.
Okay. What are you getting within the hybrid? What chemical are you using?
Let me think that through. The boys do most of the cropping stuff.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we've been GM canola since the first trial that we had in WA. So we've been rolling through it for a while. Yeah. But being able to use the triazines and stuff like that in the
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then lambing percentages you aim for?
That is, I think we managed to crack 100% off, or just over 100% off scanned this year. Off scanned? No, must be more than that. It might have been just over 100% off mated.
I've joined.
Yeah. And that's one of those things we've been chasing pretty hard for the last, since I've come home, because we were really infertile for a while there.
Yeah, okay.
With the wool line, so it used to be 75%, and now we're up at 100%. So
which makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yep.
In return. Okay. And then so I guess with your cropping, your seeding system.
We are.
Is it knife points?
Yeah, knife points, press wheels. Yeah, we're just rolling into an equaliser bar for next year. So.
Equaliser? Are you getting an equaliser? Okay. Inline single seeder or the twin?
Inline. Yeah, inline. Not a split boot.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Knife points. So press wheel, parallelogram. Well, that's where you were going with the equaliser. So you do stubble retention?
As much as possible, yeah. Yep. Some of the stubbles require a bit of burn, like planet barley, but everything else we try to keep it there.
So the equaliser will make it better, you think? Like enable you better stubble retention?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Essentially we were going to the equaliser for the seed placement, because what we're running at the moment is a very old bar. Yeah,
I do follow you on Twitter.
Yes.
So I've seen it.
Yeah, so the equaliser will give us the liquid kit and it'll be a slightly wider row spacing, so the stubble retention should be... So
what, you 10 or 12?
10. Yeah. I think at the moment we're running on 7, so...
Oh shit, that is tight to get, yeah. Do you consider yourself a landscape manager or a landscape manager that runs sheep on it, or a livestock crop production manager that runs a landscape?
I would definitely say I'm running the landscape as opposed to, basically as soon as a paddock gets to the point where I'm considering that it might start to blow, the sheep come off it. And cropping paddocks are a little more difficult for, because canola, our canola paddocks end up with very little cover inside the stubble itself. So basically we let the sheep take the best of it and then roll off it, and keep it protected as much as we can.
Are you doing the confinement feeding at the start of the season?
We don't confinement feed in terms of like a little 2 hectare paddock, but I defer graze and just use a sacrificial paddock, which is generally one of the paddocks that's going to go into oats in July or June in June.
June,
So some of the last paddocks are going to crop or where all of the sheep sit until I can roll them out into their deferred paddocks.
So it's just a different system of confinement grazing. Yeah. Using a winter wheat or a spring wheat?
We're growing Ilbo at the moment.
Growing Ilbo? Yeah. And what do you reckon? What's your target yield?
As much as we can get. And we're probably not utilising that properly because we've never actually done any grazing on it or anything like that, but it does mean we can go in early if we want to.
You're going to get 5-6 tonne? 7?
I don't think we've seen 7.
No, 7's really high, but
I think the best stuff we were harvesting for seed last year was probably 4.
Okay. But it's pretty tight. Like not a great year for winter wheats.
This year would be interesting to see what it does.
Yeah.
Not that I think the protein will be very high.
No, but then
it's soft.
Yeah.
Soft season.
Yeah. But you'll all go to Bungie?
We end up all over the place.
Okay.
So probably CBH Cranbrook. But depends on markets at the time really, or what we've already contracted.
Yeah.
Crop grazing's not really something we've got into purely because we do that deferred grazing, but it's one of those things that there's a huge amount of things that I'm still working out how to do properly, and I don't want to jump into crop grazing yet until I've got the rest of it all sorted.
They're understandable. We did tried it for the first time at our place, and I was probably sceptical of it, but it was amazing. How the plant recovers. It's just we put a fence up, only did 5 hectares, and it just bounces. It's unbelievable. And it was just Bannister oats, so not a spectacular variety.
If we were going to do crop grazing, we'd probably do oats, not wheat, down here.
For barley or wheat, just seems to grow faster earlier.
Actually, the plant barley grows so quick.
Wheat seems to be a bit sluggish down here in terms of that early 3-leaf stage coming up.
I want to plant. I was going to next year plant more crop, but given wheat urea's at $1,400 a tonne, that's out the door. So we're cutting back. But I think you just put it in and graze it all July and pull them out. For us, pull it out early August, and absolutely. They must get that root system and all the energy stored in there, and
so it's definitely one of those tools that's in the belt for further down the track, but still working on the mechanisms of making it work properly.
Like within your whole system, in your pastures, you have a diverse. Is it just ryegrass, or is it all mix of everything?
Like all of us, once we start defer grazing, we end up with a massive bank of capeweed. But I don't think we have any paddock that is just one variety of pasture. We've got some summer paddocks that we use, which are kaikuyi, which have got balantha and ryegrass that grow through them during winter. And then the kayak in summer is amazing. Most of our pastures would be clover, rye, and just winter grasses that come through that as well.
So you're happy with your aim for crop diversity?
Yeah, absolutely. Our soil types change so much in one paddock that if we aimed for just one variety, we'd have areas that just didn't do anything. Kaikuyi is the only summer stuff we've got, but as far as perennials go, it's something we keep going. We'd like to be putting something in and then get to this time of year and go, we've got so much other stuff we need to be doing that it just keeps falling by the wayside. There's a few paddocks on the farm that we're leasing now that have had perennials in them, so there's
And what are they?
I'm trying to remember what they are.
That's right. So
I'd be able to dig it out for you.
No, that doesn't. Because it's more just if you have perennials, it's more. The whole. I'm trying not to say regen, but the aim is for regen is to have green ground cover and living roots as much as you can to keep your soil going.
And it's one of those things, it's a kind of a double-edged sword for where we live, because if we continue with green all year, we continue with worms all year for the sheep. So to a degree, our summer and the dry that we have actually gives us a better tool for not having to use as many chemicals on the sheep.
Yeah.
But by the same token, vitamin E in green, so...
Yeah, it keeps everything growing along.
Yeah.
Because I interviewed Lindley for this as well. She said, I don't think does she not drench anything?
Pretty much.
That's from memory. She's got them resistant. So is that
something we're working towards.
Is that flowing through?
Yeah, definitely. We can have a line of her weathers against a line of our weathers, and our weathers will come in, they'll be doing okay, and her weathers will just be absolute whales.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's good. Where do you sit in the landscape? You high, low, medium?
We are a bit of both. We go from non-wetting gravel hills down to flats that will hold, like paperbark flats that will hold moisture until after Christmas almost in a season like this.
But do you inherit other people's, like do you have creeks that come through your place, or do they start on your place?
Some of them will start on our place, some of them is flow through from other places.
So you cops other people's issues?
Yeah, absolutely. Waterlogged areas, those that are perpetually waterlogged are basically always pasture, so that we can continue just pumping that water out as much as possible. And if we can keep the pasture on it, it stops that compaction as well to a degree. And the waterlogged areas that we get in cropping paddocks, we kind of crop around them when we can. But by the same token, in a dry year, they're the areas that absolutely pump. So, yeah. Have
you ever thought of, I know, speaking of Webby and Ray Harrington, and they were saying they're looking at putting in underground drains.
Yeah, tile drainage.
That's the one. Yeah. Have you ever
considered it? Once again, it's one of those things that we're going, right, we need to kind of work out how this is going to work, and then... done
so many hours in a day.
But contour drains and that sort of thing too. Like most of the paddocks we've got.
So you have contour drains?
Yeah, we've got contour drains to limit how much water is flowing down a hill at any one point.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you do the surveying right. There's some contour drains on a lease farm that you look at and you go, what is that doing? It's like, it's not. It's not actually helping.
Would you expand, make them put more in, less in?
When we change, like we're still in the process of changing some of the paddock shapes that we've got on farms that we bought in the 90s. And as we do that, there's a chance that we might put in some contour drains that are strategic for how we crop, as well as being able to stop that watershed disappearing down hills and such like.
So where does the water go?
Generally we'd point it into a dam
so you want it to go somewhere.
Has a slow spread that heads into a creek or something like that. Yep.
Okay.
But wherever possible, into storage. And the other way that we're hoping we can combat that is by reducing the non-wetting on the top of the hills. So if we can get the water to penetrate at the top instead of just running off. So we'll be looking in the future to do some claying, but in the meantime it'll be wetter while we're cropping to try and get the water in before it disappears down the hill.
So if we go to soil types, have you using any surfactants for cropping, like SE14?
We've used Lure probably 10 years ago, and the new bar that we're getting this year will let us use SE14.
Do you reckon you'll use it?
It will transform our germination, absolutely.
And Lure didn't work?
The way we were doing it was broadacre spraying it, and yes, it made a difference, but the logistics of being able to get it out, I think they wanted you to get it out within a week before a rain was coming and that sort of thing, so it became quite time consuming and logistical. But we've seen that surfactants will make a difference on those jarrah gravels, absolutely.
Yeah, that seems to be the only place that works, but it does seem to work there.
Yeah. We have so many issues with germination, just staggered germination on those jarrah gravels. We had lupins coming up as cotyledons as we were about to harvest, kind of thing. Like it
Then and soil testing and organic carbon.
I would have to dig out our organic carbon number.
Don't need a number, but is it something you look at?
Yeah, definitely. We're soil testing regularly across the entire farm. we did the entire lease block, which covered all of the pastures over there as well. So we'll be looking to make sure that we test all of our pastures as well as not just the cropping. Yeah.
And what are deficiencies, or what are you?
Definitely trying to improve the pH and keeping a handle on.
So pretty big liming program.
Yes. Yep. That's increasing.
Yep.
Yes.
So just with your organic carbon, what have you got strategies to try and improve it?
Have we got strategies to improve it? Probably not specifically, but we are monitoring it to make sure that it's not going backwards.
Yeah.
And
I don't actually know if you can. If there are strategies that let you improve it outside of putting your whole farm to perennials, which no one's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, we're keeping stubble for as much as we possibly can. We're trying to maintain ground cover all the time so that the soil hopefully is staying healthy with microbes, etc. But in a West Australian summer, keeping your soil from baking is it's an uphill battle, but yeah.
Yeah, so you're just doing everything you can to promote it or to encourage it.
Yeah. Minimising erosion from wind, water, whatever it may be. And the kikuyu that we grow goes across those blowing sands and that sort of thing, so that keeps all of that soil structure together. And
So the kike's on a soil type rather than a place in the landscape?
Generally, it'll be
they coincide.
Where we've got gutless sand that coincides with water, which doesn't happen everywhere.
Do you know if you had to put a percent on perennials of your country?
It wouldn't be much. I can think of 50 hectares off the top of my head, but in 3,200 that's really quite minimal. Yeah, but it's one of those things that we're slowly trying to improve, including things like, I mean, I don't think you call saltbush perennials, but...
I don't like saltbush myself, but yeah.
Yeah, we planted some this year and then discovered that the sheep they bashed the gate into the crop paddock where we just planted the saltbush. Smashed the lot.
Are you putting... are you going to put more in?
We've got more coming next year, but it'll be one of those things. We'll put a couple of plots in and work out the management and see whether that fits with the rest of the system that we've got.
So that you just picked that in a low-lying area to
Yeah, we picked out an area that's sort of either side of creekland that we're wanting to fence off anyway to keep that from degrading. And it's encroaching further and further into the cropping area that we've got in terms of salt.
Yep.
So we're just trying to... reversing the salt's probably not possible, but limiting it maybe. So
stopping it.
Yeah. So that's the plan, but also being able to use it for autumn grazing, which keeps the rest of our land from degrading in the dry hot.
So waterways, do you do like waterway management or like bank management?
Where we've got creeks fenced off, I wouldn't say we're actively managing bank
fencing off creeks does though.
Fencing off creeks does do it,
just do it naturally.
It does
regenerate.
It builds up on its own. But there's other spots where we've got creeks that aren't fenced, so...
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, how do you rank sustainability? I guess, sustainability, what in your management or long-term... So how long have you guys been here for?
We came across in the 50s, I think.
So, 60 to 70 years?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously we've seen from when my granddad first came over, he started clearing the land. So, I mean, obviously that kind of seems backwards compared to what we're trying to do now. But if we don't keep what we've got functioning in a healthy ecosystem, then we're not going to have it in another 50 years.
Sustainability as a management tool, where do you rank? That's high on the priority list?
For me, it's high on the priority list because a sustainable landscape is going to be a healthy one that's better for crops and sheep as well. So they're kind of synonymous for me. Yeah, I mean, it can be as simple as synergies between dung beetles and worm loads, or you want to be keeping as many of the beneficial insects, microbes, animals functioning as you possibly can. So,
I mean, just on soil biology, and is there anything? Are you doing anything to promote that? Not that I quite know what you can do, but I guess sort of, you got the 5 objectives. There's the solar function, water cycle, soil mineral cycle. The solar function is just creating leaf, like green, keep everything green as much as you can.
Yeah.
Water cycle is if you can increase or maintain or increase your organic carbon, that increases your water holding capacity of your soil. Mineral function is increasing your soil biology to increase your nutrient availability.
Yeah, which I mean, we're consistently applying pasture fertiliser and that sort of thing, but I'm guessing that Regenerative is all about doing it without having to apply a synthetic fertiliser. So
yeah, I mean, that's people would argue that's I can't quite work it out whether it's synthetic. You know, they're saying like superphosphate's used as a biofumigant, in cases. So I think that actually has the complete opposite effect.
Yeah.
How you get around that, I've got no idea.
Yeah.
And stay productive. You can not spread it, but you still got to. To me, you still got to apply the nutrients. For them to grow stuff, because you're pulling off so much.
It is an interesting one, and I mean, we have things like selenium deficiency, which we obviously have to supplement.
You put it out with your fertiliser?
Yeah, we do. Yep. Yeah. We put selenium chip out. They call it's like the brand name Cell Chip. It's just a selenium chip that we add to the fert here instead of batching it in the fert plant, because it's cheaper to do it here in the fert shed.
I've never heard of that. Selenium chip.
Yeah. Ag Supplies and Cottage, I think, are the conduit into WA.
Oh, there you go.
They lock that one up pretty well.
Yeah. He runs good business in there. Ned?
Yes, he does.
All the pasture gets a super super potash?
He gets super potash, and depending on the years that we've got, sometimes we'll go out and for the crop side of things, we'll go out and selectively put potash out on the areas that we know are deficient via soil test.
Yep.
We're not variable rate, but we're contractor variable. Human variable rate.
Yeah. Do you know what sort of P rates you're using?
What are we? We've been putting out 150 4-in-1.
A 4-in-1?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, that's a pretty good rate. So you'd be up to 12, 13. 3-in-1's about 9, so 4-in-1 is less, it'd be 10, so you'd be 15 or 16 from memory. That's pretty high.
And I mean, 10 years ago we would have been 100 kilos of 3-in-1, but with prices of everything, we've pumped that a bit to keep things rolling. But in the year coming, I think we're going to drop that because it's just so expensive, and we've got a good history of fertility. So
and you notice the difference increasing your P to your production?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
Have you increased your carrying capacity, I suppose?
That's an interesting one because we've gone non-mulesed, we've actively chosen to reduce our stocking rate a little bit so that we don't have the dag issue.
Okay. And that's working?
Different management system, different management techniques, but once you get that under your belt, it works.
So how often are you just crutching once a year?
Crutch once a year, and I spend a lot of time on a microscope making sure that we don't have worms. Because the second they've got worms, they start shitting. So it's just about keeping the dag off them. Okay.
And worm management.
Yeah.
And you just put a ring on the tail?
Yeah, we are.
That's what you get.
Other people are using the Tapari, the rolling docking line, the Petesco one. But we're just using a green ring, and once an earmark is voluntary, then, which is happening next year, it'll be a bloodless landmarking.
I still don't understand earmarking.
I don't understand it, but we're only going to be able to stop doing it on crossies because we have sheep that just vaporise.
Oh, you reckon they do they?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yep.
Do you put any nitrogen out in your pasture?
Only in the seasons when we're tight.
Okay.
So we'd go in ahead of those paddocks that we're deferring to make sure that those grasses are pumping. Add a bit of nitrogen to that. So if we're stocked right and we're having a good season, then we just let nature run its course. But if we're a bit tighter, then we'll go in and intervene.
Bang. Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's one of those things that I'm it's again one of those tools that I'm going, all right, so this is something that we know that works, but when do I need to use it? And do I want to be stocked to the hilt on 3,200 hectares, or do I want to have a simple management with not as many sheep and just run them a bit lighter? Or it's not it's not maximising production, it's optimising production. Yeah. And then the fourth one is dynamic eco farming, which you're doing, which is just essentially trying to create diversity in bugs and animals, which you're trying to keep it's keeping your good bugs and not your bad bugs is hard because the insecticide kills everything. It does indeed.
I don't quite know how that is done. And the other one's human function. I guess trying to create a positive society around you.
Yep.
Which I certainly think I watched what you say on Twitter. It looks like that seems to be quite a priority to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, from grandfather, mum and dad, the people I have around me, I pick and choose and pick their brains on they're all people that naturally will stand up and support other people and help them out.
Yeah.
And people, but in the same way, they're people who they're not afraid to say, are you sure you want to be doing that?
And mainly family, or
no, not necessarily. Like I would pick up the phone and ring Lindley and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or and in the same way, we would ring the agronomist and be like, look, this is what we were trying to achieve in a pasture paddock, but we'd rather not, knock out all of this. What's the best way we can get around this? Yeah. And I mean, our agro knows that we love clover, so more often than not, we're not knocking out clover.
Which means you generally get cape weed as well.
Yes, generally.
Yeah. The management structure, given you've got 3 generations on the farm?
Dad mum and dad own and oversee pretty much everything. And then I guess technically these days I'm the livestock manager.
Okay,
And Braden is in there for most of the cropping operations, but doesn't actually want to be the cropping manager. And then we have one more worker underneath us. So there's 5 of us on the farm. Granddad just potters around in a little John Deere like it's a bulldozer. And we use contractors outside of that for spraying or sheep operations or.
So you have your own spray rig or you use it?
Own spray rig, but sometimes when we're trying to time double knocks and bare earth sprays and all of that, we just get to a point where we go, we need help.
Do you do time right?
Haven't done for a while. Dad used to, and if we get an opportunity, we still would. But it's not something we're actively chasing. I don't know. It might be naive of me, but part of me goes, if I can keep pastures growing without having to spray an insecticide across it, I will. Whether that's intelligent or not, I'm not sure.
Well, it was massive when I was in agro. It was just coming out. Everyone was doing it, and you don't hear anyone talking about it these days.
It's one of those things. Like I look at the way we handle worms in sheep, and the fact that we always leave some sheep undrenched over the summer period, so that there's a dilution factor in the population. And you're going, well, if you kill everything, but something survives it, then you're just breeding a superbug.
Is that the one you want? And is that the one you want?
But red legs are certainly becoming resistant to a lot of different things, so anything we can do to reduce the insecticides going on and keep beneficial insects out there, the better.
Exactly. What worms I read? There was on the I was reading somewhere there's a bug out there now that you can release that eats the red legs. Can't remember.
It'd be interesting to put my hand up for a trial.
I don't know where I read. I saw that.
They've got some cool stuff coming out called biowormer as well, which is it a fungus? No. Basically, you drench the sheep with it, and it goes through their system and comes out on the pasture, and the bacteria it eats worm larvae.
Oh,
which is pretty cool. Yeah. But whether it eats other things that are beneficial as well, still kind of working that out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to reintroduce a cane toad.
No. Yes.
We grow crops, we grow sheep, we've got bushland, we've got native flats. We've got kangaroos bloody everywhere.
Emus?
Emus, yep.
A lot of people we don't have any emus at home, lots of kangaroos, but I know people out here complain about emus.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're more destructive than kangaroos?
Purely in the fact that their heads pass the fence before they hit it. So, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the same as camels up north. Their head's in front, and so they're not seeing the fence, so they just keep going.
Yeah. Well, other people say kangaroos follow each other, whereas emus spread out. I don't know if that's true or not, that's what I've been told.
My experience with emus is that they keep running along a fence until they decide, I've had enough of this, and then they all just go straight over it. And I have no idea how they manage it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Are we planting any trees?
It's something that Mum's very passionate about. We haven't done it for quite a long time, but it is something that we're definitely wanting to do because we're seeing areas of the farm that are denuding from trees. So yeah, we'd like to be getting some jarrah and white gum back through.
You plant jarrah and white gum?
I would like to. We've got sawlog plantations in areas of those deep sand and stuff like that are not necessarily in the waterlogged areas like the kite would go into.
What are they made up of?
What have we got? I know there's spotted gum out there. I'm trying to think what the rest of them are.
The sawlog plantation, spotted gum.
And it'd be those places which are just a little bit further up the hill to try and take that moisture and stop it from all ending up in the valley and disappearing.
Okay. So moisture.
Water management.
Water management. Yeah. But it's on the sandier country.
Yeah, generally. Yeah. I got that right. Yeah.
And then the aim is to then harvest it at some point or sell it?
If we'd kept it pruned properly, yes. But they might just be permanent stands of trees. Yeah. But it's interesting, the place we lease has got FBC trees on it and they're not viable for harvesting. We've had people come through and assess it and the country we've got here just doesn't grow trees properly.
So, what sort of jarrah and red gum?
No, that's blue gums.
Oh, yeah, no, too far out.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do with it?
Essentially, they're still paying the lease money for it, and we'll probably get it harvested once and then pick the eyes out of which bits we want to leave in trees for the soil and the ecosystem, and then the rest of it will maybe come back into pasture or,
okay. And the FPC own it?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so the native forest, or remaining uncleared land, is that fenced off or are you grazing it?
Any massive stands of bush are fenced off.
Yep.
There are copses through grazing land that the sheep continue to go under, but I've got a plan in my head to fence those in a way that I can run sheep in them and do, sheep can have this bit for 5 years and we'll close it up for 5 years and let them have the other side kind of thing, so that you can keep your fire hazard down but let the natives actually thrive, hopefully. I'll keep you posted on whether that works or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's areas on the lease block that are fully fenced off, and they're getting to the point where the grass is underneath that we've literally got to put sheep in to keep that hazard down, otherwise we'll lose the lot.
You doing any deep ripping or spray?
Not at the moment. I think the first thing we'll do in terms of soil changes would be claying and getting that incorporated. It's one of those things where if we go deep ripping here and we have a year like this, we're not going to get on the country.
No.
We struggled to get on it as it was. But again, like this year, we think about the way that our land works, and we didn't spray anything ahead. We sprayed, we did a double knock, but we waited for all those plants to germinate because we had lots of moisture. And we didn't spray things out a month ahead, so we let the pasture keep all of the weeds keep pumping that moisture out.
Yep.
And because of that, we managed to get across more land than most people did. So I would say that the way that we run the farm is thinking about how the land works instead of going, I need to put this crop in there, I'm going to make it happen. If the paddock goes, that's not happening, we go, all right, well, what else can we do with it?
You concentrate your sheep in those paddocks so that you don't let the plants get too big.
Yeah, so basically I'd be running sheep across all of our cropping paddocks until 2 weeks before boys want to spray it out.
Yeah.
And then I'm poking them going, when do you want me to move them? If you don't tell me I need to move them today and not give me a week's notice.
So once you sprayed, you leave them in there or what, you pull them out?
Once they're sprayed...
You round up front and then you spray seed?
I'd leave it for 3 days and then maybe bring sheep back in depending on how fast things are rolling through.
Yeah, and what you can do management-wise. Yep. And you employ labour for seeding or you guys can do it all yourself?
We did employ labour for seeding this year. Generally, yes, we'd employ someone to come in and give us a hand on the seeder itself. We tend to do most of the spraying ourselves, except for when we get to that pinch point with not enough hours in the day and operators to utilise them.
Yeah. And how is getting labour hard or?
Definitely this year, but by the same token, we couldn't get just anybody because it was such a tricky season for not getting bogged. So we had an extra worker who we were hoping was going to be able to do some of the spreading and stuff, but we just couldn't put her into the paddocks because she just didn't quite have the skill set to be able to go, where should I go first? How should I tackle this paddock without ending up 3 feet down?
Yeah. Yeah.